Good morning, guys. How are we? Hope we're good. Today, I'm going to be talking you through George Emsley's case study and his progress so far, and ultimately how we did it, so you can take away the clues, the tactics, the methods, the systems that we use, and implement it into your own lifestyle and get your own transformation. Okay, so George has been working with me since November. I met him at a mutual friend of ours, Paul Tinker, who's also a client of mine. I met him at his conference back in November. So we've been working together for about 4 months now, and he's lost 40 pounds of fat loss. And obviously, you've got Christmas in that time, you've got New Year, you've got December. So even with that, we've averaged £10 per month, 40 pounds, nearly 3 stone, which is absolutely fantastic. So not only that, he's got some fantastic results when it comes to energy, focus, productivity, all of that good stuff. What we'll say first and foremost with George's starting position, if we get down to this point, George's starting position, you can see in his photos here, he wasn't completely and utterly out of shape, but he did actually have a lot of body fat on him, and more body fat than you would think, because he distributes it very, very well. He's one of those lucky people, right? If I had 40 pounds of meat, it's literally all in my gut. George holds a lot of his body fat kind of in other places, back, legs, but also in his midsection as well, of course. So starting point, George, if you don't know him, he is a property developer. He is a father. He loves good food. He's also father and husband, and a family man. His business is just running his life. Like it's something that's very important to him. It's a priority that he pushes forwards, his legacy in business, and that takes a lot of his time. And ultimately, that means he has minimal time left to spend in the gym, minimal time left to spend working out, so on and so forth. He's an all or nothing person, so it's either right, we're doing this and we're going all in, or we're not doing it at all. Which I'm going to come on to a little bit later as to why that could be actually the opposite of beneficial. It can really be detrimental to your progress. And also, he was experiencing some bouts of brain fog and fatigue and low energy throughout the day. So before we get started, I just want to talk through George, his 3 main roadblocks, and ultimately what was stopping him from getting in the shape that he wanted to, and ultimately feeling and looking and performing the way that he wanted to do as well. So number 1 was the business and family. Ultimately, majority of his time was spent on building his business, investing in new projects, ultimately tendering for projects, all the stuff that comes with the territory of being a property developer, right? But the spare time that he did have, he didn't want to spend it all in the gym. He didn't want to become a gym bro that didn't have the time for his family. Like it was really important to him that he was spending the time that he did have with his family. 1 second, just gonna check I'm still recording. I am. I just heard a noise. So yeah, it's really, really important that he had his family time in there as well. So it was imperative that we kept that in there. Number 2 was diet. It couldn't be bland and boring. So one thing that he first said to me was like, I've tried diets before, but ultimately they just get in the way of my life. And he had the belief that he had to eat like a boring bodybuilder, chicken, broccoli, rice, 2-3 times a day out of Tupperware in order to get in the shape that he wanted to. And he actually said, my wife's a really good cook, Chloe's a really good cook, and I want to make sure that I can keep in my evening meals made by her and my family time in order to see it. So, or in order to see the results. And ultimately, that's a roadblock in itself, because that might have been something that was holding him back at the time. And number 3, like I say, all or nothing. Now, all or nothing, a lot of people think that this is something that actually benefits them, of like, oh, I can just go all in, I can dial in for a period of time and see amazing results. But typically when it comes to your health and fitness, and in my opinion, pretty much every area of your life, all or nothing is detrimental, because all always leads to nothing. And what then happens, if we put this in, obviously, when we're looking at health and fitness, fat loss, let's say, if you're a person that goes all in for a period of time, let's say you do something like 75-day hard, or you go 8 weeks of cutting out carbs, or you just go really hard and doing cardio every single day, and it's not maintainable, it's not sustainable, right? What's going to happen is that's going to turn to nothing. But every single time that you do that, you wire your brain that you can't stick to something, and then you lose confidence in yourself, and then you start guilt tripping yourself. It brings a real cycle of guilt as to why you can't do it. So there's so much more when it comes to all or nothing as to why it's actually detrimental, but it's one of the things that a majority of my clients kind of have when they start, and actually one thing that I want to work with them to get rid of. Okay, I don't want you to be an all or nothing person. I want you to be the person that can always be 80% there, but leave yourself 20% leeway. Because look, put it this way. If you're all or nothing and you have to miss a session because ultimately you've got business or family commitments and you have to miss a session, if you're all or nothing, when you miss that session, you go, I've missed the session now, so I may as well miss the next session. I may as well miss the next one. I may as well miss the next one. Same with meals. Let's say you're an all or nothing person. You end up, you've done 5 weeks of nailing your diet, cutting out carbohydrates, going really, really hard, 75-day hard, whatever. And you've done 5 weeks of it. And then you get invited to a networking event. That networking event, there's food provided for you. You haven't prepped your lunch that day, so you have the food there. And then everyone goes out for a beer or two after. And you have a beer or two after. What then happens in the all or nothing mindset is because you've gone from all to nothing, your brain is going, I fucked it anyway, so I may as well order the McDonald's today, or I may as well have this, and this. And that's how a lot of people fall off that diet. So this is something I recognised in George very early, that he was struggling with the all or nothing mindset, and that we had to be mindful of this to make sure that he could actually see results over a period of time and overcome them. So I'm going to come on to that in a little bit about how we actually did that. From there. So yeah, how we helped, number one was obviously made sure that his diet plan wasn't just boring and bland meals. So again, one of the first things that he said was he wanted to keep Chloe's meals in there because she's a really good cook, which I absolutely love for him. And that was no problem. Like, yes, we couldn't control the calories down to a T with Chloe cooking, because I'm not expecting her to weigh everything out on scales and blah, blah, blah. But the first thing that we did was every single day, he would just send me a photo of the meals that she was cooking for him. And then I created the rest of his plan around that. Obviously, I did give some guidance into, look, if Chloe can make a meal that has a lean protein source and a lot of veggies and stuff like that, that'll be amazing. But again, it wasn't counting every single calorie that's in there. It was making sure that he could have his family time. It was making sure that he could enjoy that meal without, again, living like a bodybuilder and having the weighing scales out for absolutely everything. Next was, we didn't train him like a bodybuilder either. Again, one of the biggest mistakes that I see from people in business, property, so on and so forth, is they when they think they have to get in shape, they train like a bodybuilder. It's like, right, I'm going to do arms this day, chest this day, back this day, and then I'm going to do an ab session, then I'm going to do an hour of cardio 3 times a week. And again, that's going kind of to that position of like where you are now, which is probably not doing too much at all, and where you've let your health go a little bit, to going all in. And you don't need to do that. You do not need to do it at all. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not stepping on stage, and your goal is very, very different, and it's a lot more simple than most people think. So we used the 3+1 method for George. So this is a method that I like to use, and a system of ours. And what the 3+1 method is basically 3 non-negotiable training sessions. So for George, these were 3 full body sessions. Okay, so literally training full body each time. What that allows us to do is train each muscle group at least twice, but a lot of the time throughout the week, 3 times, and recover enough in between to make sure that we can push again very, very hard in the next session when programmed correctly. So that's 3 non-negotiable sessions to make sure that we get the physique development that we want for that. So if you're a guy, we might focus a little bit more on upper body. If you're a lady watching this, we might focus on a little bit more on lower body during those sessions. The 1, so 3+1, the 1 comes from 1 session that is negotiable, and we can actually let ourselves off the hook if we don't hit it. Again, this kind of battles that all or nothing mindset and realizes, okay, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We have to have some kind of non-negotiables in there, but there's the 1 that is that is negotiable. So we did 3 full body sessions, and then we had 1 session that is in there that is more of a functional session, or a run, or something like that. If he had time to get it in that week, then he got it in. Let's just go through this. So create a plan that supported business, not hindered it. So again, a lot of people, when they start training, and it's one of the biggest things that I hear, when they start training and start focusing on nutrition is, I just can't do this at the moment because I'm so busy with business. And if that's something that you say, and if that's something that you feel when you actually stick to a program, we have to realize that you're doing it completely wrong. You're doing it the completely wrong way. You're doing it the old way, the method that is fit for a bodybuilder, not fit for a business owner, okay? So we supported him by giving him a plan and a program that made sure that actually boosted his business up by making him more energetic, more focused, more productive through the foods that he used, his daily habits, his lifestyle, to make sure that it actually supported his growth of his business rather than hindered it. Because if we can get you more energy, and look, put it this way, if I could hand you 10 times more energy today, what could you do with that energy? If I could hand you 10 times more focus, what could you do with that focus? If I could hand you 10 times more productivity, what could you do with that productivity? We have to realize we are the product of what we're putting into our body. We are the product of how we're treating our body. We're the product of how we're treating our brain. If you're surviving off of coffees and lattes and fast food and so on and so forth every day, you are being nowhere near as effective as you can be. So we created a plan that would ultimately support his business rather than hinder it. And then, of course, one of the biggest things that we do for every single client, and one of the biggest reasons that George actually joined us, is we gave George world-class support, accountability, and guidance. It's something that I very much pride myself on. It's the support that I give to my clients in terms of the check-ins that they get, the checkpoints that they get, the communication that they have with me. And yeah, basically anything that they need, I'll be there every single step of the way. So just to give you a roadmap of George's progress so far, he started at 102 kilograms. And I can't actually remember, I don't know why I haven't put that in here, but we basically went through a hard cut to strip the fat, and that is where we are at the moment, is, like I say, 4 months. And he's dropped 40 pounds. So that's around about 20 kilos or so in kg. So yeah, nearly 3 stone, which is absurd in that amount of time with Christmas and stuff there as well. And considering, again, it's not like he's been training every day or doing endless cardio or anything like that. What will then happen is, after this, and this is the phase that we're actually transitioning him into now, is a reverse phase. And a reverse diet is to ultimately make sure that we don't undo the hard work, but we can get him eating more food. Because what happens a lot of the time, and just for reference, 98% of people that lose body fat put it back on within 2 years, right? And we don't want that to happen to our clients. We want them to get results that last. So the reverse diet is to make sure that we get that initial yo-yo out of the question, to make sure that it doesn't happen. So we creep calories back up. We make sure that he can eat more food whilst holding the results that he's got in terms of look and how he feels, and also the scale weight. And then we can transition into the next 2 phases, which is number 1, flexible freedom. That is teaching him how to get in fantastic shape. How to stay in fantastic shape and maintain his results without being on a meal plan, without tracking food. So that is where we're transitioning again, George, at this moment in time. And then the next phase after that, which is, we've kind of almost flipped around with George, is performance. So George has locked in his first ultra marathon, which is going to be this time next year, or somewhere like 9 months away. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. So he's doing a 30 miler in the trails. And like I say, what I always say to my clients is the performance phase is something I want you to do to almost tick something off of your fitness bucket list. Like, that can be for different things for everyone. It could be doing your first marathon, your first half marathon, 10K. It could be a high rocks. It doesn't have to be running at all. It could be how you perform in your business. Like, it could be blood work. It could be getting you off your diabetes medication, all of that stuff, right? And there's a bunch of stuff that we can look at within performance, but George wanted to do an ultra marathon, so that's what we locked in. And then the 1% human is getting you to a point where you have it all, and you can ultimately spread your wings, fly, and leave me. So yeah, in terms of the results, like I say, he stripped nearly 40 pounds, nearly 3 stone of body fat. I think he's actually just over 40 pounds now as of the time that I'm recording this. His body composition is completely transformed, which I'm going to come on to on the next slide. And his energy, productivity, and focus has improved. And what I would say here is the best is yet to come, because ultimately, when you're dieting and we're giving your body less calories than it needs to sustain itself, that's what a diet is. Ultimately, you're not going to be at your absolute prime and at your absolute best. So when we get into this position of going through flexi freedom and performance, this is where George is going to take himself to a completely new level. So the fact that he's actually improved his energy, focus, productivity in the first 4 months is fantastic. But now it's focused on how can we actually 10x that? How can we get him to the best position possible? And he's also fitter than ever and running quicker than ever. And he has an ultra marathon booked. So 40 pounds down, as you can see here. A hell of a lot less body fat, and also the most important thing is that he is feeling way more confident with his top off, and as we know, summer is now around the corner. He is going to be feeling fantastic around the pool, wherever he is, or even if it's just cooking a barbecue in the back garden with guests over, he's going to be feeling absolutely fantastic. You know, I know myself, because I used to be fat, but like, when you are holding a lot of extra body fat, it can feel really shit for, you know, having photos taken or even just catching a reflection in the mirror, all of that good stuff. I can tell you now, George's confidence is through the roof since he has made this change, and it's made such a big change to every area of his life. Again, confidence isn't just vanity. It's not just looking in the mirror and thinking, oh fucking hell, I look really good. Confidence comes back into your business. Like if you're a more confident person, you're more confident in how you look. It's much easier to sell yourself to other people. It's much easier to present yourself in a certain way, and it's much easier to actually believe in yourself and put yourself across in the manner that you want to. Okay. So yeah, that's a little bit about George's results. And then key points. So one of the deciding factors in George joining the Optimized Entrepreneur was having someone to answer to and someone that would call him out when needed to, and ultimately someone that would take all the decision making away from him. So he wanted it to be seamless, and he also wanted to kick up the arse when he needed it. He wanted an arm around the shoulder when he needed it, because he was letting himself off the hook far too easy beforehand, hence why he was, had an extra 40 pounds in him. So we're checking with George 2 to 3 times a week to make sure he's getting the work done, and we also do one main pit stop per week, which I've just done, where we tweak, change, and optimize his programs every single week, so he doesn't have to think about anything, and he has the clarity going forwards. Number 2 is being consistently good, not occasionally great. So previously, George was occasionally great. He would go all in for a certain amount of time, and then he'd fall off and go back to 0%, that all or nothing, right? I asked him to be consistently good. I've asked him to, look, don't show up 100% of the time. I never expect any of my clients to be perfect. Show up 80% of the time, do your best 80% of the time, and you're going to get there as long as we remain consistent and you commit to the program for a good period of time. That is how we're going to get you there. So yeah, that all or nothing cycle leads to guilt and inevitably falling off and ultimately free falling back to square one. And then finally is clear direction. This is one of the biggest things that I see with business owners that want to get in amazing shape. So they don't have clear direction, right? And this is in a few different ways. Number one, there's so much bullshit out there. You look on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you look at there for advice, even Google, you're going to get 101 different things. Some of them are right. Some of them are completely wrong. Some of them might fit you. Some of them absolutely won't. So your head can just get completely scrambled on, actually, what do I need to do? George trusted me because he's seen the people that I've worked with. He's seen the results that I get. And he just allowed me to take all the decision making away from him, to take all of that thinking out of his head. He has 1,000,001 decisions to make every single day. And he didn't want any more when it came to his health and fitness, because he knew that it actually caused him more stress than good. So yeah, that's really, really, really important. And then the second one, clear direction, is most business owners, with their business, they have a very clear direction. Right, I want to hit £1 million this year, and in order to hit £1 million, I need to do this, 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 and this. That is something that we do for day one, before you even join my program. If we have a first initial conversation, I'm going to give you a clear game plan to get to that point. So we'll set out your goals, and then we'll set out the roadmap to get there of like, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. Once we've done that, on the first conversation, that'll be either via a DM or a quick phone call. Once we've done that, you can decide if it's something that you actually like, and whether it's something that you want to do, or you can just take that away and implement that yourself. That's absolutely no problem. But if you're watching this and you want me to give you clear direction, you want that kind of roadmap and that game plan, just give me a shout. I'm more than happy to put that together for you. There's no problem at all. So like I say, if you want results like George, below this, wherever you're watching this, whether it's in a Facebook group, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, just click the link. There'll be a form if you want to find out more information on my programs, and I will run you through them. I'll be in touch and we can have a quick conversation as well. Or you just DM me with, I haven't changed the name here, so DM Archie on Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp with, it says Justin because I've recorded one of these for another one of my clients, but you can just send me the word George, or send me the message case study, or just send me a fucking message, right? I'm not going to record this whole video again because I got one word wrong, right? Right, guys, I hope that was really useful. If you, let me know, drop me a message if you have watched this. Let me know if it was useful, and I look forward to catching up and speaking to you guys soon. All right, guys, cheers.